Welcome to the deep dive. It feels like every day there's a new headline about artificial intelligence. The pace of development is incredible, and keeping up with it all can be, well, a bit overwhelming.
Absolutely. It's a constant stream of new discoveries and advancements.
So today, Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, we're going to do what we do best. Take a deep dive into some of the most interesting AI news that caught our eye.
We're calling this segment AI Daily Deep Dive, and we might as well address the elephant in the room right from the start.
You mean the fact that this entire deep dive, the research, the information gathering, the analysis, and even this very conversation is all powered by AI?
Precisely. We've combed through a wide range of sources, all driven by AI, to bring you this concise and hopefully insightful look at the current state of AI.
It's AI analyzing AI. Pretty meta, right? But we're confident it can provide some fascinating perspectives.
Absolutely. So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it. First up, we have some intriguing news from Adobe.
Yeah, this caught my eye too. At their Summit 2024, Adobe previewed this experimental AI tool they're calling Project Slide Wow.
Okay, Slide Wow. Sounds a bit gimmicky, but I'm intrigued. What's it all about?
Well, it's part of their Adobe Sneaks program, which is where they showcase some of their more experimental, cutting-edge stuff. And the basic idea is that it can automatically generate PowerPoint presentations from raw customer data.
So, imagine you have all this data from your customer analytics, and instead of spending hours creating a presentation, this tool just does it for you.
Exactly. It links directly with their Adobe Customer Journey Analytics, or CJA as they call it. And it goes beyond just basic slides. It creates data visualizations, captions, even speaker notes, all within a coherent narrative structure.
Wow. And I read that the person behind this, Jane Hofswell from Adobe, stressed that the tool is designed to not just throw data onto slides, but to actually identify those key insights and present them in a way that tells a clear, compelling story.
Right. It's not just about pretty pictures. It's about meaning.
But it's not just a static presentation either, right? There's this whole interactive element built into it as well.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest parts. They've incorporated this interactive AI agent directly into PowerPoint. So you can ask it follow-up questions about the data, request different visualizations, and even generate new slides on the fly based on your needs.
It's like having an AI data analyst right there in your presentation. Imagine the possibilities for Q&A sessions or board meetings. It also updates with live data, which could be huge for certain industries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about financial markets, social media trends, or even emergency response situations. Real-time data analysis and presentation could be game-changing.
Okay, so it's powerful, versatile, interactive, and uses real-time data. What's the tech behind it?
That's another interesting aspect of Project Slide. Wow, unlike a lot of AI tools out there that rely heavily on large language models, or LLMs, this one uses a proprietary algorithmic ranking and scoring system developed by Adobe.
So it's more a rules-based approach as opposed to the deep learning techniques we often hear about.
Yeah, it's more about carefully analyzing and prioritizing data based on a set of predefined rules and algorithms. There are three key factors they consider: where the data sits within the CJA workflow, how relevant and frequent the data points are, and how well they fit into a cohesive narrative.
So it's a more deterministic, controlled process. I can see how that could be appealing, especially for businesses concerned about things like data accuracy and consistency.
Exactly. It bypasses some of the potential pitfalls of LLMs, which can sometimes generate hallucinations or produce outputs that are difficult to predict or explain. This way, you have more transparency and control over what's being presented.
Plus, I imagine there are other benefits: increased efficiency, better scalability for larger organizations, and ensuring data integrity.
Absolutely. Plus, with the potential for integration with Microsoft 365 down the line, it could become accessible to a much wider audience.
Right. And speaking of accessibility, it's worth noting that this is still in the experimental phase.
Right. It's part of Adobe Sneaks, and not all projects from Sneaks make it to the official product lineup.
But historically, about 40% of them do.
Exactly. And Eric Matisoff, who is an Adobe Digital Experience Evangelist—
That's quite a title.
it is, isn't it? He said that Sneaks is all about testing ideas and getting user feedback. So the future of Project Slide Wow really depends on how people respond to it. But for our listeners, I think it offers a glimpse into the potential for AI to fundamentally change the way we work with and communicate data.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about a rather bold experiment happening in the world of journalism.
You mean the one with the Italian newspaper?
Exactly. Il Foglio, a conservative liberal daily, claims to have published what they say is the world's first entirely AI-generated newspaper edition.
I saw that. Quite a headline. It's part of a month-long experiment they're conducting, really diving headfirst into this whole AI and journalism thing.
Yeah, their editor, Claudia Strasser, has said that it's a way for them to understand the potential impact of AI, not only on journalism, but also on how we work and even how we live our lives.
It's a pretty comprehensive approach. This wasn't just a one-off article or a small section. They created a whole 4-page supplement called Foglio AI, which was included in both their print and online editions.
And they really went all in. From what I understand, AI was used for everything. The writing, the headlines, even the quotes and the satirical bits.
Yep. Apparently, the journalist's role was pretty limited, mostly just feeding questions into an AI tool and then reviewing the output. A very hands-off approach, you could say.
It's a fascinating contrast to how some other media organizations are experimenting with AI, like the BBC, who are looking at more personalized news delivery. This is more about, well, can AI handle the entire process?
And it's happening at a time when the whole debate about AI and journalism is really heating up.
Absolutely. So what kind of stuff did this AI journalist come up with?
The content was pretty diverse, actually. Their first edition included pieces on Italian Trump supporters and cancel culture, economic analysis of an ISTAT report about income redistribution and salary increases for something like 750,000 workers, and even some commentary on lifestyle trends, like the rise of situationships among young Europeans.
So a pretty standard mix of news and features you might find in any newspaper.
Exactly. And from what we've gathered, the articles themselves were well written, with clear structure and good grammar. But there was one noticeable absence: direct quotes from human sources.
Right. So it's still missing that element of firsthand accounts and human voices, which are so integral to traditional journalism.
Absolutely. It makes you think about what elements of human journalism are most difficult to replicate with AI and what the implications of that might be.
Now, the part that really caught my attention was the last page of the supplement.
Oh, yeah, the letters to the editor.
Yes. Apparently, even those were generated by AI.
And they didn't shy away from some of the big questions. One of the AI-generated letters asked if AI would ultimately make humans useless.
And what was the AI's response?
A bit tongue-in-cheek. Something along the lines of still struggling to order a coffee correctly.
That's pretty funny. Self-aware, you might even say.
Exactly. It highlights the kind of playful, almost meta quality of the whole experiment.
And Sarasa, the editor, has made it clear that Foglio AI is intended to be both a functional newspaper section and a real-world test of what AI can and can't do in journalism.
It's raising some big questions about creativity, objectivity, and ethics in the age of AI. What do you think? Does it make you rethink the nature of journalism at all?
Absolutely. It really makes you consider where we're headed with all of this, our listeners too. Where does AI fit into the future of news and information? A lot to ponder.
Okay, let's move on to some exciting developments from the world of hardware and robotics.
You talking about NVIDIA's GTC? The one and only CEO Jensen Huang gave the keynote, and he unveiled a bunch of cool new stuff. New chips, new robots, new reasoning models, a lot to unpack.
They really are pushing the boundaries. A major announcement was that their Blackwell Ultra chips are now in full production.
Right. These were first announced last year, if I remember correctly?
Yep. And these chips are packing some serious power. They have significantly more memory capacity and bandwidth compared to their predecessors.
And Huang made it clear that this extra power is essential for developing and deploying all those complex AI systems we keep hearing about. AI agents, physical AI systems, those sophisticated reasoning models.
Exactly. And to top it off, they announced that the next generation, the Blackwell Ultra NVL72, is set to be released later this year.
Talk about staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But they're not just focused on the near future. They've already got their sights set on what comes next.
It's like they had a roadmap for the next decade of AI hardware.
Right. They even announced the name of their next GPU architecture, Vera Rubin, named after the famous astronomer. It's slated for release in the second half of 2026.
And they're claiming it's going to deliver double the performance of the current generation, plus even further enhancements to memory and bandwidth. It's a pretty ambitious timeline.
Ambitious, maybe. But they've also got plans for a Rubin Ultra architecture, which will involve multiple GPUs working together in 2027, and then the Feynman architecture in 2028.
So they're clearly in it for the long haul, constantly pushing the envelope.
Okay, but it wasn't all about raw power. There was also a pretty significant announcement on the robotics front.
Oh yeah, the NVIDIA Isaac GR00TN1. It caught my attention too. That's their first open and customizable AI foundation model specifically designed for humanoid robots.
Right. So instead of starting from scratch, developers can use this pre-trained model as a base and then customize it for their specific robot.
Exactly. And they've trained it on this massive data set of both synthetic and real-world data to create a really robust foundation for building those advanced humanoid robots we keep seeing in sci-fi movies.
It feels like we're getting closer and closer to that reality every day.
It really does. It's a pretty major step in the integration of AI with physical robotics.
But hardware and robots weren't the only focus. They also introduced some pretty interesting new software tools.
You mean NVIDIA Dynamo?
That's the one. They described it as the operating system of an AI factory.
A bold claim. So what does it actually do?
Well, the idea is to make it easier and more efficient to scale and accelerate reasoning models, which are, of course, essential for building those intelligent AI agents we keep talking about.
So it's all about making the development and deployment of AI agents faster and more streamlined.
Exactly. And to help with that, they also unveiled a new family of reasoning models called the Llama-Nematron family.
I saw that. Those are designed to enable developers to build AI agents that are more adaptable, versatile, and capable of making more sophisticated decisions.
Right. It's all about moving beyond those rigid, rule-based systems and creating AI that can truly think on its feet.
And then there's the accessibility aspect. They announced their DGX personal AI supercomputers, the DGX Station and DGX Spark.
Those were previously known as Project Digits.
Yep. And they're powered by NVIDIA's new Blackwell AI platform. The whole point is to give individual developers, students, and researchers the power to create, test, and run their own AI models right from their desktops.
So no more needing access to those giant, expensive supercomputers.
Well, at least not for prototyping and initial development. It's a pretty big deal because it potentially opens up AI development to a much wider audience.
Democratizing AI, as they say.
Precisely. And for our listeners, these advancements in AI infrastructure are crucial because they're paving the way for all those exciting new applications we keep seeing pop up across various industries.
From self-driving cars to personalized medicine to who knows what else, it's an exciting time to be following AI.
It certainly is.
So let's quickly recap what we covered today in our AI Daily Deep Dive. We looked at Adobe's experimental project SlideWow for automating those PowerPoint presentations we all know and sometimes love.
And we explored that fascinating experiment from the Italian newspaper Il Foglio, which claims to have published the world's first entirely AI-generated edition. A real glimpse into the future of journalism.
And of course, we can't forget those groundbreaking announcements from NVIDIA's GTC keynote, new Blackwell Ultra chips, a new foundation model for humanoid robots, and personal AI supercomputers that could change the game for developers. It's a lot to process, but it all points to the same conclusion. The world of AI is moving fast.
It is, and here's the kicker. This entire deep dive, the research, the synthesis, the discussion, was entirely conducted and generated by AI. Think about that for a second.
It really highlights just how rapidly AI is advancing. And it leads to some intriguing questions. With AI becoming increasingly capable of generating and analyzing information, how will our concept of expertise and authority change? How will we navigate this new landscape of information where the lines between human and machine are becoming increasingly blurred?
A lot to think about.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this AI Daily Deep Dive. We hope you found it informative and perhaps a little thought-provoking. Until next time.